Hi beauties! Welcome back to another episode of Beauty Within at Home. It's your host, Rowena. And
Felicia.
And today we want to share with you guys and give you guys an inside scoop into the world of beauty within and into our brains.
Yes, we're basically opening up the doors and really wanted to share with you guys kind of like the planes and the environment in which beauty within operates, right? Which is like the beauty skincare industry. Because over the last 2 to 3 years, everything that Ro and I have actually learned in the industry as well as about ourselves and skincare in general has been very eye-opening, and I think it's like really important to share with you guys who are more just like as a consumer and you see fun and fresh new launches and you want everything, but there's a very delicate balance that I think needs to be understood in order to like not go crazy with everything that's happening, especially with a lot of the topics we're going to mention today.
So just consider us your friendly neighbor who's sharing some details about the industry, because at the end of the day, from the start of Beauty Within, we've always been more of a friend sharing with you guys our discoveries along our skincare journey, and I hope we will continue to do that.
So grab your favorite drink. What have you got, Roro?
I got a Yakult passion
It's all
fruit
gone.
tea. Dude, I drink my drinks really fast.
I have just a lemon honey iced tea, and when I say tea, there's no tea and it's just water, but it tastes good.
Very good for the body.
Cheers.
Bing!
Alright, starting off with that one best skincare tip that Ro and I have learned over the last 3 years, and that is hydration.
Hydration.
Okay, so it might seem like a simple one, but the simple things are definitely the best. And we're just trying to remember, like, recall where it was or who it was that kind of instilled hydration. But I think it was a gradual process, but there were many checkpoints along the way. So a memorable one for me is when we went to Ling to do the facial, because that was the first time I really got a comprehensive facial. And what she was saying to us, like, kind of low-key blew my mind about, hydration and milia, hydration and acne, hydration and inflammation.
I think especially for you too, hydration and acne, because as someone with oily skin, did you think of hydration as a thing that would help you with your acne before?
No, I think people struggling with acne think the other route. It's like, how do I dry this out? Rather than like, how do I like instill more water content? Like, it almost seems like two different worlds, but the way they married it was like, that's the source of your problem.
Every single skincare concern that you have under the sun, I feel like hydration is like at the root of it. Like it all starts with hydration, and then it just goes like expands from there.
Because we did that, what's the difference between dry and dehydrated? Oh, that's the key. That was where it started.
Yes. And then going into Ling's and then me being like, oh, I think my skin's more normal now. And she's like, no, honey, your skin is so dehydrated, it's producing oil. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, oops. And the funny thing is, I think if you view your body as, you can see it reflected in the world and other things, right? Hydration in terms of the planet. I watch a lot of animal and planet documentaries, but without water, like there would be no life. And, there'd be no rivers, there'd be no like Amazon forest, there'd be no deserts even, there'd be no ocean.
There would be no us.
It's kind of like that principle applied to our body, which is also kind of like an ecosystem of its own. It really does make sense. And I think what it does to the skin is primarily like, one, hydrate the skin cells so they're plump like a grape. I think we always use that analogy because, fine lines, aging, that's when your skin kind of like sinks away.
And hydration also helps with your skin barrier. So the more healthy and happy your skin barrier is, the more it prevents water from evaporating and prevents like outside aggressors to like attack your skin or be able to like penetrate your skin.
So I think a tip is to think of water as your foundation. Toners and serums are giving hydration, and then your moisturizers trap in hydration.
I think an ingredient that we're all very familiar with is hyaluronic acid, and different brands will harness it and will use it and will like extract it or put it into their formulation in different ways, different molecular weights. So a good brand that we love is Uroi. They're just like the essence of water. And then there'll be brands like Low Recipe that uses fruit like watermelon, that's also very hydrating, or like cactus water, that's also very hydrating. If a cacti plant can survive in the deserts and like still be able to retain all that like juicy moisture like in its middle, and like the, what do you call the insides of a cactus? It's like phlegm.
It's like the
it's like aloe.
yeah. The mucus of the cactus.
Yes. If they're able to retain water and survive, then like that in itself, it's like nature miracle hydration.
And actually, while you were talking about the aloe, isn't it funny, like the skin is basically the moisturizer in our skincare routine, and the mucus is the toner and the serum.
Wouldn't the insides be the epidermis or the dermis?
Oh yeah, the inside would be the dermis, that like plush, squidgy stuff, just pivoting off the different molecular weights of hyaluronic. I think like certain ingredients will also, you know, give different types of hydration. So Rael was one that was really affordable and really surprised us. They had 3 molecular weights, whereas the fancier you go, like Niod and the 15 different molecular weights, you know, coming from mushroom and all these different ingredients, it spans across different price points.
Thoughts on clean beauty and sustainability?
Wow.
It's a heavy hitter.
That's the thing. I don't think it has to be. So I feel like at the beginning, when we actually did that clean beauty video or clean skincare video, I think people were still all raving about clean beauty because it was still emerging. But now people have come to understand a little bit more that, one, it's really unregulated. The terms are undefined. It's how the brands want to like project it to the consumer.
At the end of the day, I feel like clean means different things to different people, and that's totally fine. For an industry, it's important to ultimately come up with some sort of a definition for what it is. But I think as it stands right now, my stance is just, it is what it means to you, and that's beautiful.
It's very hard for a brand or even for ourselves to encompass everything, but it all comes down to like what we prioritize, right? If you care about animals, then of course you're going to look for cruelty-free, or if it's reef safety and coral safety, then of course you're going to look for sunscreens that don't have certain ingredients. And then other people will be like, okay, glass and biodegradable and sustainable, that's important to me because the trees and the land, it's a lifestyle as well. If you're going to be vegetarian, if you're going to be vegan, then you're not going to use propolis honey extracts. You're not going to use pharmacy products, and you're also not going to have honey in your diet, right? So if it's still all a little bit confusing to you, don't worry, because it is gray area. So we're just going to run through some brands that we think are clean to us and what defines it as clean.
Let's start with clean.
Clean.
Like clean.
Okay, I really don't know the level of that like gives me anxiety.
Like Ren and Osea. I feel like Ren and Osea are a little different too.
But I think they're very textbook clean. Like they have the no, this, right?
Yeah.
So Ren is really great for that. And I love it because it's also effective.
Yeah.
It's not like so clean to the point that it does nothing. Yeah, same with Osea. Osea was a brand that we used to use more of back in the day when we did like the first hype video. But because of its costly nature, we don't tend to keep recommending that.
I feel like they're clean in like a natural. It's like natural clean. And then Ren's more like clinical clean.
While still having this like softness about them. I don't know how to describe it.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yes. And then like I think now a lot of Korean brands are picking up on the fact that like clean is a thing. And what comes to mind is like iUnique, Purito, even Goodall, which is something that's not that well known, but it's more about highlighting their ingredients. And also Sciorus, like to me that's clean. But also not to be confused with the fact that like natural is clean, because it's not.
From what I remember is K-Beauty started as K-Beauty, and then only in the more recent year has it gone more clean as the industry and as consumers have been asking for it more. And from my knowledge, I believe Ilion, I might be butchering the name, they were the first ones to start like back in the day to coming out with like really, really clean products. And then they have this like ultra repair cream that I really love. There's a lighter cream that you can use for your body and your face. There's this moisturizing mist that acts as a cream, but it comes in mist form. I got all three of them because I was like, I want to try from Olive Young. And I think there are bestsellers on Olive Young too.
Yeah, and that brand that you mentioned, one of our friends who actually produced her own green tea serum has a lot of friends in the Korean industry who are fanatics of skincare. And that was the one that they said for a Korean's definition of clean, that is it. And she was also saying like Koreans don't really like think about clean as clean, which is very interesting, right? Because if you think of Korean skincare, they take so much pride and care in their skin, but they don't care about clean. Even go-to skincare, I think that's like, to me,
oh yeah,
that's clean.
Oh, that's so clean. I feel like that and Osea is more similar in terms of like natural clean.
Yeah, they're like dupe brands. So it's like you have to weigh all these things, just create your own conclusion. And I think that will change over time, and that's fine.
As we were just saying, skincare is very complex and skincare is very personal, which is the third thing we want to talk about. And I think both Fel and I, along this very short but long journey of discovering skincare, being in this world with all of this information, with all of these studies, with all of these there's a lot of input. When we first started out, Beauty Within 2-3 years ago, it was very confusing.
Which was the reason why we did it. Which is why we came out with a playlist to strip it all down. One standout moment when I realized this is when we were talking about cleansing balms and the Pond's. So the Pond's cold cream?
Mm-hmm.
So there was mineral oil in that. And if you go back to clean, right, if you reference that, everyone shames mineral oil. They were like, it's comedogenic, it clogs pores, it's not good for you, blah, blah, blah. But when I used it as a cleansing balm, I was like, this works a treat. My skin does not break out. Like, it had none of the effects that people were really, like, ramming into people's mind. So I was like, it really is personal.
I really loved We Were What, Danielle Bernstein, and she loves this like mauve nude purple lipstick from MAC, and then it was being discontinued, so like I'm gonna buy 3 because she loves it. I got it, I put it on, I was like, I look like a dead zombie. So I think like that for me was like the most jarring experience personally, and I think from there I just learned slowly over time, especially with skincare as well. And I've heard a lot of friends tell me this, that back in the day when YouTube first started, they were like listening to all these different beauty YouTubers or like skincare YouTubers. I don't think skincare was that big back then, but anyway, and they would get all these products, try it, and they will break out or it wouldn't work well with their skin because I think the knowledge of like knowing your skin type, it wasn't that clear.
And I think, what perpetuates this in a negative way is the more like serious the skin condition is, the more you want a solution. Like coming from an acne skin condition, you want to know the product that worked for them. You'll see a thumbnail that like cleared their whole skin. They'll take supplements and you'll take supplements, but like, whoa, no, it's not going to work the same for you. And what you'll find when you dig deep into the research, that even the most extensive studies will come at it from different ways and come to a different conclusion. So we're here to collate all of that, which is why we don't take, once again, the strongest stance and be like, buy this, or like, don't buy that, because it just didn't work for us. But, it doesn't stop you guys from trying it. Like, that's not the point.
Moving on to trends.
In skincare, trends are huge because of the fact that with a new launch of a product and a new campaign, you have to create buzz. You have to create like piqued interest, and the successful ones will become a trend.
Yeah, because some trends are good. Like I feel like glass skin, that whole like going back to a more natural look and like caring more about your skincare before makeup, like applying makeup. I think that's like such a beautiful thing, allowing like your natural beauty to shine a bit more. Like skinimalist or like skip step, that's great. But like at the end of the day, there's like so many trends all the time that if you try to be a part of it all the time, like every single trend, I don't think you like, how can you live? How can you breathe?
You're just a shell of a human being. What's good about trends is that it keeps pushing industries forward.
Yeah.
It's like innovation. You know, we've talked to big brands who own many other little brands, and the way they like approach trends is also very different.
The big brand, their marketing team will be like, okay, these are the products and these are the ingredients that we're going to focus on, and then the formulators in return like start formulating products around these key ingredients because they know either through consumer research or through marketing analysis or just, you know, whatever it is that these marketing teams do, they'll realize like, okay, this is what consumers want, so we'll make that. As opposed to some of the pretty big but maybe smaller brands that we've talked to, for example like Deciem, Paula's Choice, even Crave Beauty. The reason why I love them is because they don't really care about trends.
They make it a point.
Yeah, they're creating things that they feel like the world genuinely needs, or they're just creating things that they themselves get really excited about. And I think that is when you can tell. I think especially with Deciem and Niad, Perudvi and his lab.
Just a little like backstory. So the way that they go about it is they formulate according to what's needed and what's required by skin conditions. Like, have we made a product that will help solve acne, lightening, anti-aging? And that's how they do it. While as other brands might get, you know, a stack of trend analysis. It's like, this is what people like these days. This is what we need to formulate next. Now go and formulate it according to what the people want. Because you have to make money. At the end of the day, you have to serve someone.
Yeah.
So it's like two different approaches.
I feel like trends, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it helps push the industry forward. It incentivizes brands to be more creative. But at the same time, it's driving this part of us that, like, we keep wanting new things. You just have to know, like, where you stand among all of this noise. Fifth one.
Fifth and final.
How has Beauty Within changed your life in ways that do not pertain to skincare? This is good. This is a good one. You guys be on your toes because this is gonna be fun. You're gonna be like, what?
One of the things as I was thinking, like, back to when we first started the show was actually about posture. Okay, like hang on with me. I didn't really think about how the way I was sitting and standing impacts the way it comes off on screen. So at the very beginning, our manager was like, no, you can't wear this. You have to sit straight. You have to sit like this. Your legs have to be like this. What is wrong with your feet? And I would take that, you know, like as a millennial, you don't want to be told what to do. And like looking back over the progression of how we actually act and how we project the information we're trying to tell, the way that we're communicating with the audience and the brands and even just ourselves, you're putting more effort into improving you, like fundamentally. You know, back in the teenage, I want ripped jeans, I want to look disheveled, but now I'm like, why did I want to look disheveled? I think when we're younger, we don't want to be this like lady. It has this uptightness about it. It's like, I don't want to sit straight and seem like I'm wound up too tight. The older you get, you realize those are the things that actually unspokenly, you know, body language speaks volumes, especially when we're filming. Things like eye contact, the way that you speak, the way that you sit has so much to do with it. And, you know, our costumes and what we wear every week, it's that kind of mentality shift. Like, I realized that putting more effort into standing straight, you know, not letting my body kind of be like this and letting it speak in a way like that, it actually looks better for one.
I think it's also health, right? Like if you spent your youth slouching over, by the time you're 80, you're just gonna you're not even
oh my
gonna
god
be there.
100%. Like my mom would always be like, you look like a question mark, and then she'd slap my behind and then I'd stand up straight, and you know, like, it's so true. That's the best analogy. I just never allowed her to believe it. But I was like, okay, fine. But then I was like, I look weird. I look like I'm trying to like show my chest.
I think what Beauty Within taught me is discipline. Like showing up every single day or at least like once or twice a week to film. There's many days where we show up and I'm just like, Fel, you do it yourself. Or like I'll tell one of our editors jokingly like, hey, can you film for me today? I just don't feel like doing it. They're like, okay. okay. But they're also like joking. And I think it's like this repetition of doing something regardless of your feelings and regardless of your mood, showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not. That's training a very specific part of your like mental muscles that I feel like I lacked a lot growing up. Again, especially now that we're just home, right? Like there's days where like I don't want to put on makeup. I don't want to sit down and film. But then it's one of those things that if you push through and if you try hard enough, you always feel better having finished what you know you should do and what you're supposed to do rather than like pushing it off or like procrastinating. One last really parting funny story. I remember one day I was getting to the office pretty early, getting into the elevator, pressing a button, going up, and I just thought about like, man, an elevator is so disciplined, you know? You press a button, tell it what to do, it just comes. It doesn't question, it doesn't think. Sure, it's an inanimate object, but I'm just trying to see the good in everything. And so I was like, what if I were more like an elevator? If I just did everything I should do or like I'm supposed to do rather than like questioning or rather than like living based off of like my feelings of like I feel like doing this, I don't feel like doing that, what would my life be like? And I was like, wow, if I just did things instead of like procrastinating or lagging or putting things off, then I would probably be at a very different place than I am now.
It's like you know in your mind what is good, which will be different to other people. And we're not all machines and robots. We only have so much capacity and energy. So it's like this very fine balance, but you have to do what's like true to you, but also don't use that as a cop out and say, this is true to me, so I'm gonna do that. But you know, it's like, yeah. Let us know. I'm curious, what did you guys get out of this channel apart from obviously skincare facts? And if it was skincare facts, how that also maybe made you think about where it applies in different ways in life.
Especially if you guys have watched this far, we love you guys.
Just know that we're like losing sleep over thinking of ways in which we can offer you guys more and more while keeping our sanity. But yes, grateful to all of you, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Cheers, Yakult fam.
I don't even know where my thing went, but cheers! That's it, bye! Insert Looney Tunes outro!
That's the intro. What's the outro?
And then the Roadrunner's going like...
Yes, folks!
Alright, that's it.